G'day and welcome to another episode of the SuperCoach Paige show. I'm Paige.
I'm Matt.
I'm Damon.
And we're here for round 18, and it has been well named SuperCoach Carnage Week Part 2.
The carnage for Damon's season continues for starters.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
does actually. We'll start with that.
It's not just round 18 for me. It's the entire season.
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to keep it going. I reckon I'll be the lowest scorer of.
We do love a whipping boy, as
We
long
do.
as I'm not on the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah. He didn't score badly though. What did you score?
Which
this week?
score?
I scored 22.51.
So you weren't
not too bad.
off too far off from me. I had 2.279.
Yeah, and I had 2.308, so I'm the king
No.
again.
Although, yeah, I should probably slap myself across the back of the head because my man, he's everyone's man, but he's my man. I love him. Brownlow favourite, of course, Gary Ablett. I've had him captain pretty much all season.
Yep.
And then I thought, come up against the Pies, McCaffrey's going to play on him, and Crowley's influence. But yeah, so I put the captaincy on Swan, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah.
And otherwise, if I kept it on Gaza, I would probably be the king.
Well,
this week.
I can relate because I decided at the last minute I had Pendlebury was not going to be captaincy in any material, so any way, shape or form, and then switched it from Ablett to Pendlebury as a VC. Looked like it was going to pay off about quarter time, and I thought, brilliant, here we go. And then boom, Gaz came from nowhere.
Yep, and I just
Crazy.
brought in Gaz in general, so it
So it's taken you all this time for you to finally bring Gaz in.
was worth it. And I didn't even make him captain. I could have gone even better. Which was
Well, okay, who were our worst scorers this week? Who did everyone suffer with?
Gibbs, such a squib.
Gibbs,
Yeah.
yeah, you suffer with him each
Okay.
week.
Gibbs, yeah, he's been frustrating all year in Supercoach terms and both as a supporter.
He's
of
definitely
Carlton.
not in my team next year.
And another one for me was Ryder. I brought him in as a trade during the week, and he only scored 68.
Oh,
very
he played
disappointed.
up forward, didn't he?
Yes, he
Yeah.
did. Yes, which we were speaking about
We
in
were.
previous weeks, and yeah, I
We
thought it was
got-
on time, right?
We got burned by the same guy.
We did. Sam Mitchell.
Yep. And I had to play, thank you, Josh Saunders.
Woo!
Yeah.
Good on you.
Another appearance.
Tommy Mitchell stepped right
Oh,
up.
that's
did.
all right. I had
You
to
did
cover
do very well.
Dangerfield, so.
Mm.
Well, look, the main thing that we are here for tonight is the carnage that has hit us ahead of round 18. So we're just going to roll off a couple of names. So we've got Bartel is suspended, Buddy is still in doubt, Hanley's fractured his arm and he's out for up to 4 weeks. We've got Goods who's out for the season with a double fractured arm. Nick Nat is suffering from OP. Who else? People have still got Dangerfield on the bench, still got Watson on the bench.
Yep. So it's a lot of people.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And Stevie J's thankfully come back from suspension, which aids a little bit of it, but
Until he gets suspended.
until he
again
gets
this week.
suspended again. But,
Some
you know,
people still have need in the forward line.
Yes, it's not my name, it's not me.
that's alright. I had to play Tom Lee and Josh Saunders, so
We love you, Josh.
yeah, hopefully I'm looking for another game from this week. I've had to play 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
So Joshy, just send him a good word from me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll just start with the Rucks. Nick Nat is
From
the
the top.
biggest problem.
From the
yeah.
top.
Nick Nat, he's one I brought in, and ever since he's been in my team, he's gone shizen. And I wish
Like
I
this
knew
guy.
about his injury troubles, because I thought he was over them during the season, but obviously not. And I reckon he's going to be more likely to be rested, I think, than not because of those injuries. And his last 3 games, he's averaged 75. So I think when I brought him in, he's still averaging 96, but I think when I brought him in, it was just a tad over 100.
Yep.
And he was flying, and of course his scores were bumped up with that the winning goal.
Yeah, that
against North
140 game play, yeah.
and so before then it was 6 straight games of over 100, so he was scoring quite well. But he seems to be struggling around the ground. Of course, he's under the cloud there with the OP, and he's not moving as he usually
He
does.
can barely jump, can he?
Yeah.
No, so
And
it's
so is Cox as well. Cox has been scoring very badly.
he's another one.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility he may be put on ice, and during a time which isn't convenient for all of us is during the SuperCoach finals. So he's likely to be rested, I think, against Essendon, Geelong, or Collingwood, which are big games, I think.
And they're all during finals as
Yeah.
well. All 3 games during Supercoach finals.
They're more likely to rest him as well if the Eagles don't look that they're going to make the 8, which is kind of looking
Which
like
you
it.
could, which you could probably say that if the Eagles, basically they have to win this week to have any touch with the top 8. So, and they are playing the Bulldogs, so they'd probably fancy themselves. But the other thing you got to remember as well is if they do lose touch with the 8, do not rule out Nick Nat going out for the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
So,
And just playing the Dogs. Get on Minnow.
Yeah.
Could have a day out.
If you can't jump, then get on Minton.
Mm-hmm.
But look, we're going to roll through a couple of options just to throw it out.
Big boy McAvoy. Now, we mentioned last week in the For Ruck's Sake segment that we had on the show, it was either Ryder or McAvoy, and it was really, tossing up which one to go with. I suggested McAvoy.
Yep, so did I.
You didn't listen.
You didn't listen. Eat it back.
And he got 135 against Port Adelaide, so good on you, McAvoy.
And Lobe still scored bloody well as well.
He did. Very good.
So pretty good rough duel between those two.
And McAvoy is very consistent. He hasn't missed a game this season. 5 scores over 120. And the last month he has 3 out of 4 weeks over 100, which is all you need from a ruck, really. Geelong and Brisbane to come in the few weeks following, followed by the Hawks, Swans, Suns and Fremantle, and he's their only ruck, so he won't be rested.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's a huge point of difference as well. He's only in 6% of teams.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Wow. So, traditionally speaking, he has better second half of the year than he does the first half. That's been no Supercoach secret, but for those of you who didn't know it.
And this isn't like a first time thing as well. He had a very good year last year in
did.
Supercoach terms, so get on it.
And another option, of course, is my man, Matthew Cruiser. He's doing quite well at the moment. He's in good form. He's priced a little bit higher than McAvoy at 546,000. He's averaging 98 at the moment, and he scored 139 against North. It was a pretty good effort, I reckon, against Goldstein.
He did Goldstein.
Yeah, he was best on ground. It was a sublime effort. And it was a season high score as well, which was good for him. And his last 2 months, he hasn't slipped below 90.
Hang on, in his last 2 months, he has not slipped below 90.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
That's a good average.
And you tell me that Carlton are going to trade him?
No, I don't think so.
It's not going to happen now.
But what has helped him, I think, is the absence of Warnock and Hampson. He's really well there, and he's had ample time in the ruck as well as around the ground. I think that's where
he's just got such
excels.
a big engine that he pushes forward so easily, almost like a young Darren Jolly.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And he's like Ryder as well. When he's in the ruck, he plays really, really well. Don't keep it forward.
Yeah,
exactly. Keep it
strangling him if it happens. So.
Yeah. And I don't think he's going to be rested at all, as Carlton are still a chance to make the finals. I think they could. Yeah, they're quite slim, but with Port, I think they're fighting for that one last spot in the 8.
Better not lose against Gold Coast then.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Pencil it in now. And the last remaining games for that he faces for his opponents, he's got Gold Coast, Fremantle, followed by the Dogs, Tigers, Bombers, and Power. So it's a mixed bag there, but I think
certainly something to look to.
Yeah, exactly right. I think he could score quite well.
And look, another option everyone's been speaking about him, didn't have the greatest game on the weekend, is Jared Roughhead from the Hawks. So only the 69 against the Bulldogs. Subpar effort for him, I would probably say. But look, that is his lowest score in the past 3 months. So 69, before then he hadn't been dropping below 90. So just like Cruiser, hugely consistent, very reliable, and especially with that mid-forward link too.
Yeah.
He hasn't yet been rested, so he's played every game of the season this year. So throw caution to the wind there. He may be in line for a rest. I mean, we saw Sam Mitchell be withdrawn last minute on the weekend. Do not rule out Jared Roughhead being rested between here and the ahead of finals in the actual season itself. But the Hawks have got Essendon and Richmond to come, followed by the Saints, Pies, Roos and Swans. So just there as well, against the Pies, I'd probably say, and sorry, not Pies, the Roos would probably be the game. And that's the prelim if you're playing off in it. So just throw that on there. But I mean, a couple of other quick ones. We've got Zach Clark, Patrick Ryder.
It was really affected. It's affected by who else is playing massively. So I'm actually talking about it in my tweet of the week later in the show. So keep a lid on Zach Clark for now. But as we said with Ryder, it really depends where
he's playing forward, useless.
Yeah. And moving on to part 2 of Talking Point of the Week, what's to do with Buddy. So the forward line has a bit of carnage.
Yep.
He's in career worst form, suffering from a knee injury that he'll apparently have for the rest of his career. He's scored more times under 100 than he has over 100 this year, which isn't good for him.
He's very un-Buddy-like.
Yep. And he's turned into more of a forward flanker than a key forward, which is also a worry. He trained strongly throughout the week though. He's expected to play against Sydney in the big blockbuster there, but he's still very erratic, and he could come in, but he might be rested, might not. Who knows with Buddy? It's a bit of a week-by-week basis with him. But he did have those 2 weeks off, which were penciled in as really nice.
Well, I traded him out last week, so
I'm trading out this week.
I'm not confident. There you go. So I'm not confident in him going forward for the rest of the year.
Yeah. And you can really use your dual position thing, especially with the defense and the forwards, with Staker in the form that he's in. So make sure
use
you do
your rucks, use your mids as well.
Yeah, make sure you do that as much as possible. But replacements, who have we got?
Well, we got Dusty, one of your men, Dustin Martin, Slim Dusty. He's 474, 200. He's averaging 102, so he's in good form at the moment. He's past 3 weeks. He's got sub 100 scores though, I guess. So he could be going lower in price. But he scored back-to-back tons as well. So he's a bit up and down, I guess.
Up on the rise,
yes. So. But he's got Sydney and Hawthorn to come, followed by the Lions, Carlton, the Giants and the Bombers.
Well, next one would be Tommy Rockcliffe. So he's really bounced back into form. He's had a terrific month. He's had 3 scores of over 100. He's now being played back in the midfield, which is where he gets his big points. Now he's not in the forward line, thanks Bossy. So the Lions also have a very friendly run home. That includes Port Adelaide and St Kilda, followed by the Tigers, the Giants, Bulldogs and Geelong. So if you haven't got Rockcliffe in your side, you'd want to get him before it gets a bit too pricey. Yeah,
and the big man from the Saints, who I've had all year, great pickup, averaging 106, Nick Rewell. He's having a fantastic year. He hasn't dropped below 80 all year, and that's really the consistency that you want. Only 9% of teams have him, and he faces Geelong and Brisbane before the Hawks, Swans, Suns and Freo. So a decent run home, and he's only been rested once throughout the whole year, so he's really consistent and he's looking in career best form, especially given his age.
Yeah, and we're going to go through just quickly a couple of options if we're looking for the straight swap. So about this time of the year, people probably a bit shy of downgrading and upgrading so vastly. Who have we got, guys?
Robbie Gray, last 3 scores under 100. He's still very erratic. He's actually one of my few never put in your team ever again.
Blacklisted.
Sean Higgins is another one.
Yep. Look, another one as well. Travis Cloak. He had a shocking game on the weekend, but he still scored over 100. So don't know what's going on there. But look, just Pies play GWS this week, so if you're sort of on the verge there of getting into finals or making top 4, you might actually want to consider bringing Cloak in. He tends to stand up against the bigger sides, and against GWS, you'd probably back him in to kick 7+ this week to get a really big score.
And another one is the big man, I suppose you could call him Ricky Henderson.
Don't start.
Ricky Henderson.
He's popped up, he's been in pretty good form, surprising form actually, with scores of 101, 85, 106 and a huge 160 on the weekend. And Adelaide face Fremantle, Port before playing off against North, the Dogs, Melbourne and West Coast. So there you go.
Very good.
Well, look, that brings us into part 3 of Talking Point of the Week, which is the backline carnage. So as we mentioned earlier in the show, that Pierce Hanley and Brett Goods both gone. Well, Goods more so, he's gone for the year. Hanley's out for 2 to 4 weeks, we've been told. Probably the later before the former. Going to go through a couple of options to start with. The Cannon, Trent McKenzie. I love this kid now. He's now got an average of 96. He has not scored below 85 since round 7. That is 10 weeks he has scored elite. Hugely consistent. You can always back him to score between that 80 to 100. He's had 5 scores over 100 this year, so not a huge scorer, but a consistent one, which is what you want about this time of year. Like I said, more prone to scoring in the mid-80s to high 90s than he is over 100, but again, consistency is the key. Gold Coast also have a fantastic run home. They got a big win over the weekend against my boys. So Carlton, West Coast to finish off the SuperCoach season with. But then they have Melbourne, Port, the Saints and GWS.
I really hope Gold Coast beat your lot, so we actually are the ones.
I mean, look, it'll be fantastic. If they did that, that'd be actually quite good for football anyway. But he's only in 4% of teams, which is the main thing you're going to look at. So a lot of point of difference there.
And another one is Lockie Henderson. He's playing right in the recent weeks. He's priced at 449, 100, and he's averaging 87. But in the past few weeks, his last 3 games, he's got an average of 101. He's got back-to-back scores of 100 plus and 4 scores over 100 over the past 7 weeks. So I think that, especially the last 2 weeks, we've seen he's been played up forward by Mick, and his scoring capacity, I think, has risen, playing up forward there, more marks, more pressure acts, that sort of stuff there, and kicking goals, of course. So I reckon if he sticks up forward, he may be one to go for a bit of smoky.
Yeah, definitely. And last but not least, Scott D. Thompson from North, averaging 99, priced just over 500,000. And he's had 5 scores over 100, in the past 2 months. Lowest score all year of 69. But he's played Melbourne, Geelong, before the Crows, the Bombers, the Hawks and the Pies, so that's what he's got left for the rest of the year. 3-game average, last 3 games of 110, and only owned by 4%, so he's a real smoker.
Yeah, huge point difference. We've also got this week, it's back, unique of the week we're going to go into. Now, a couple of people have sort of bobbed up on the radar and asked about this guy. It is St Kilda's very own Jack Stevens. We're giving this guy some love this week, and if you still have Watson or Dangerfield or someone like that on your bench that you need to trade and you're looking for a straight swap, then this guy might just be the answer. His last 3 games average has been 140. Scott Pendlebury and Gary Ablett like numbers. He has not scored below 99 in 3 months of football. That is crazy good.
It's incredible.
Is that you, Dwayne Russell?
It's crazy good.
Scores of 150, 100, 133, 107, 99, 99, 99, 106, 127, and of course a huge 161 against Port on the weekend. Get this, only in 1.64% of teams. That's not even 1,000 people.
Not good enough.
7 scores of 100 plus this year have also, 5 of which, have been scores of 125 and over.
Yeah.
So he scores big. So he's coming into that Griffin type of up and coming midfielder, someone to definitely watch for next year as well. He's really broken out this year. And the Saints play Geelong and Brisbane for the rest of the SuperCoach season before Hawks, Swans, Suns and Freo during the finals. And the great thing about Stephen is that he will not be rested. So if he's tossing up between guys like Selwood, Barlow and the like, Stephen, he's not going to be dropped.
Yeah. And now on to how to use your remaining trades. Now, we have various numbers of trades left here on the panel.
Yep.
I've got 4. I used 2 last weekend. How about you 2?
I have 5 remaining, but I've traded today, so that leaves 4.
Nervous smile. One left, and you've got Hanley.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I've got Floston on the
and
bench
got
there.
Nitnat. Who you got for cover for Nitnat?
Blitzarves.
Okay, Jesus.
So I'm running thin.
Do you have Martel?
This is clutching
I have
at
Jimmy.
straws.
And you know who I have to play in his place, Jake Need.
Jake Need, the superstar.
Yeah.
No, he was on the here, but yeah. So basically, how many trades should we have left for the finals? You'd want at least 2, but 4 would be ideal.
Yeah, easily.
Just for 1 each week, because who knows who's going to get rested. And also, how should we spend the remaining trades that we have? What do you think?
Look, this is where bench cover I think really comes into significance. So hopefully you've got some good strong players on the bench that you can call in these times of need, as we are at the moment.
These times of need.
These times of need.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
That is a good pun. Well done. And of course, if you've got Staker on the bench, Nichols on the bench, Mitchell on the bench, I don't know, Goods, Floss, not Goods,
Saunders, yeah.
So, even Turlick or Clisby or those guys, if they're playing and they're scoring well, you need to utilise them instead of burning trades. But, I'd probably say that's about it,
That's about it for that.
That's about it for that one.
And another one, another question. I'm going to play finals. What should I do with my trades if I have a full team? Well, yes, you'd have to keep them, I think.
Yep.
You can never have enough trades in the bank there. If a premier gets injured, is rested, as we spoke of before, you need to have them there. If you don't have the appropriate subs on your bench, you can just do a sideways trade and they come in handy.
Yep.
And
what else we got? We've got.
If you're on the verge of top 4 of the finals, what should you be doing really? What tactics should you be using?
I'm a big fan here of leaving it all out in the park. It is literally now or never. So if you're fighting, if you're 9th or 10th or 8th, you're around that area, trade.
Yeah, go on.
And bring in the guns. You need to have as much scoring power on field. So if you're holding off the likes of trading, I don't know, Watson and Dangerfield, and you want to bench Hanley, but you're sitting around 7th to 10th, You need to trade them, and you need to just go and roll the dice and just say that's it and commit to it. Because you need as much firepower on field, especially if you're looking to make top 4 to lock in that double chance. Then obviously it gives you a lot more breathing space. But if you're trying to make finals, you have to do it. You don't want to be waiting out for guys to drop in price or something like that. Just, I mean, like for Griffin this week, he's still got a massive break even, but I'm banking in on him this week. So you just want score power on field.
And Brett Staker, is he a serious option to leave on field? And he has shown that he is.
Definitely.
In the past 3 weeks, he's averaged 112, which is crazy for a rookie price player at the start of the season.
128 he started at.
Yep. And if you've got him up forward or defence, he's a keeper. I was actually asked a few weeks ago, I chose him as my tweet of the week, as what to do with Staker, upgrade, downgrade, and I said keep him. If you listened, you would do very well.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing at the moment as my forward 6.
Yep, me too.
He's in my defence at the moment. I need him down there, so he's playing well.
Yep, all good.
We should. Now, this is one thing that people have asked very much about, and we're going to go through it a little bit in depth here now. We've been asked which teams are going to be more prone to arresting players than others. So let's kick things off. We'll start with Fremantle. So the Dockers there, week 1 of finals, they play GWS at home. Big question marks there. Probably rest a few players.
If it's at home, I think they're less likely to rest because they don't have to travel.
Yeah, it's still against the Giants. Still might be time to give a couple of guys that got some niggles just a week off to obviously ease in. Week 2 of finals as well, Melbourne. So this is where I worry and go, if there's a couple of players that are a little bit niggling, Melbourne and GWS might be the games they miss, but none that would really be SuperCoach material, so to speak. And of course the big one, it's the final game of the year, the grand final in round 23. They have St Kilda at Etihad Stadium. So the Fremantle players to look out for if you're buying them in, you're looking at guys like Barlow, Ibbotson, Mundy, Duffield, Fife. They're the guys that are going to be in the gun to get rest of the big guns.
And Geelong as well, week 1 of finals, they play Port at home. Might be an interesting prospect because Port have shown that they can really take it to the top teams. Week 2, West Coast in Perth. That's a lot more likely just because of the whole travel thing. And the grand final is Brisbane at home. So it's not as bad. Brisbane are a bit lower side. It really depends on what the ladder looks like at that time. So players that could be affected, Selwood, Steve Johnson if he's not suspended, Bartel, Enright and Harry Taylor.
And especially depending on where the ladder's shaping up, Geelong could face Hawthorn in the first week of the finals, and they may just want to freshen up a few bodies there and allow them just to sit through the Brisbane game. So keep that in mind too.
Hawthorn as well.
Yes. The Hawks, week 1 of the finals, they face the Saints at Etihad, which is quite an easy game, I would have thought. And another team who will, I think they're going to finish outside the top 8, that's a foregone conclusion, is North. They face them in week 3 of the finals. And some of their players that may be affected and may be rested, of course, is Buddy, wouldn't be a surprise there. Mitchell, who's already been under injury.
Crossing out,
Roughhead and another tall one, Gunston as well.
And the last club we're going to roll through are the Bombers. So week 2 of finals, they got North Melbourne at Etihad Stadium. That's the only game that they'd probably be resting because they're playing some big games. They're playing Carlton and Richmond's the last game. They've still got some big games to come. So I can only see them resting against North. Those guys, Goddard, Heppel, Hibbard, Ryder, and the like.
Really important. And moving on to Tweet of the Week.
Tweet of the Week. So make sure each week you're sending through your SuperCoach questions using the SCP Show hashtag, and you'll win. So we've got a couple of Mint Tours vouchers left. So we'll be if you do see yourself in the show, make sure you send us a tweet or an inbox, and we'll get that one out to you.
Starting off with Ashley Fry. It's not really a question, it's just, with Sandlin's out, now I can play Zach Clark on the field again. Yay! No, you can't. Because I think the only reason that he didn't, it was a late out, he didn't come over, is because it was in Melbourne, the game. And Sandlin's...
You're not going
on a flight.
You're not going to be a 210 centimetre bloke with a dodgy toe and a shit back and whatever knees and playing against... Who are they playing again? Oh,
They were playing when we
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
we thrashed them. But yeah, it really showed because Zach Clark, I think he got 99 on the weekend.
Yeah.
So when Sandy isn't playing, he scores very well. But I honestly think it was just a 1 week thing.
Unless Sandilands doesn't appear this week.
I think he will. It's a game in Perth this weekend, and they've got, including that game this weekend, they've got 2 more games, so 3 games for the rest of the season that are in Perth, and the other 3 are interstate. So it's really a week-to-week prospect. I think he will play this weekend, so it's not worth keeping Clark.
Well, there you go. And my one is from our buddies at SuperCoach on the couch. Keep up the good work. They asked us, trade in Barlow this week or Beams next. Already have Swan and Pendles. Now, if you had to choose between the two, I'd be going Beams and hold out for Beams purely because he's not going to be rested. Collingwood have Riddle. We don't know where they're going to finish, if they're going to even finish in the 8.
Yeah, they will, yeah.
Anyway, so Collingwood will want all hands on deck. They're starting to get back the majority of their players now, so there's really no more excuses. And I mean, that huge 130 odd score on the weekend, and he's got GWS this week, so wait for his price to drop and then jump on him. He'll drop around 25 to 40 in that vicinity. With Barlow, he's still a little bit prime, I reckon, to maybe being dropped. But if you haven't got Ryan Griffin, I'll read out a couple of numbers. You need to get on him. 600k this week, so he's dropped a fair bit. He was at 660 2 or 3 weeks ago. Alright, his lowest score was 76 in the past 10 weeks. But he's absolutely ridiculous. He has scored 171, 101, 136, 176, 129, 143, 148, 107, that's 76, and 140 on the weekend against the Hawks. If that isn't enough...
And against quality opposition as well.
That's crazy.
The Bulldogs, that is crazy. The Bulldogs play 4 of their next 5 games at Etihad, where he has an average of 122.
He does like the Etihad.
You have to get on him.
Yeah.
If you're trading this week and you're looking to trade, Griffin for me is the number 1 person. Don't even worry about Beams. We're starting at finals, bringing players who are in form.
Yeah.
And my tweet is from David Tran. He asks, still have Lundberger as his second ruck. Is he a keeper given his scores? Absolutely. That's a given. He's averaging 100, and ever since he's come back from that bye, I think he missed the 1 game through injury. We all thought that he was going to miss a month or so. He's scored in his past 6, 102, 112, 115, 121, 79 and 117.
I wish I still had him.
Jesus, I wish I had.
I wish I kept him.
If I knew it was a 2 week thing, I would have kept him.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So you're doing very well for yourself to still have him.
He's fantastic.
And just finishing off with captain choices for the weekend. I've got Gaz. I'm going to use him.
After last week, can you ever go against Gary again? No.
I am never changing ever again. He is the captain from now on.
Yeah, I'm VCing him and seeing what he does, and
Yep.
I'm sure he won't stink it up, but Gary...
Yep. And that's been round 18 of the SCP show. Thank you for tuning in. Go Tigers.
Go Pies!